So, it's been a couple weeks since my dear beloved Wallace and Gromit video. Where have I been, you ask? Simple. I've been procrastinating. If you look at your screen right now, you can see that I've made a start to replay and earn every achievement in every Resident Evil game available on Steam, except from the RE4 remake, which I'm trying to get, but I'm waiting for it to go down in price a little bit. I'm doing this mostly because I have no life, and I love torturing myself. I've also had a lot of university work to do, and I've been making this video in my little spare time that I'm not wasting playing Resident Evil. However, at long last, and a lot of editing, because YouTube hates me, I'm proud to present to you my favourite video so far. Enjoy. Roblox. A game so beloved that it has and still does directly combat the likes of Minecraft, still to this day, after almost 18 years on the market. I don't need to introduce Roblox because I guarantee everyone has watched or played Roblox at some point in their life. What I'm interested in about Roblox today is the dead servers. The servers and games that aren't played as much. Roblox has a very good system that allows any normal person to create a game or experience, as it's officially named, for free, completely for free in their own in-house game creation software. Most of the time, they can be great games. Sometimes they can even make profit from it. The creators of Bloxburg, for example, created by Coeptus. Let's go with Coeptus. Oh, for $1,000, we're going with Coeptus. Is the Coeptus on the board?
Coeptus.
Coeptus is on the board. Who went on to sell blah 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 blah. They sold the Bloxburg for $100 million. However, there are other player-made games that aren't as successful. The majority of most Roblox games don't get anywhere near as successful as Bloxburg was. I say was because, let's face it, Bloxburg isn't as popular now as it was back in the day. Nowhere near is it near the same numbers as it was, but it's still doing pretty good for itself. It's no surprise to anybody that the demographic of Roblox is children aged roughly 8 plus, but in today's modern age of wine mums slapping an iPad in front of their kid's face, that number could very, very easily come down to a much, much younger age, giving anyone and everyone free access, completely free access, to make whatever game they want, however they want. It's bound to give birth to some cringe eventually. Unfinished and downright creepy games are also on the list of things being made by children, adults, and teenagers alike. Thus, we enter our first dead server.
That's it, cheese. We'll go somewhere where there's cheese. Cheddar cheese.
The way I've searched for servers is by typing in a keyword, which I have like 9 of. I'm probably wrong. I can't do maths. The first I chose is cheese, probably because I still have PTSD from the amount of editing I had to do for the Wallace and Gromit video. Cheese now haunts me in my waking moments and in my sleep alike. The first server I clicked on was Cheese Palace, and you can tell by the haunting image of a human-rat hybrid behind a set of cheese bars in a cheese room. This is going to be great. First thing I did was try to walk around this big table, only to find out that there's a big-ass, massive, invisible barrier. The only way to progress is through the door, and it took me a few minutes to get there, but eventually I entered the door. Immediately after entering the door, there was a loud as fuck portal thing in front of me that I didn't actually see, made my arms and face yellow. There was a lot of rooms in this one that are all cheese themed, as you've probably guessed. Here I found a secret elevator which led me down a conveyor belt into parkour, which you are not allowed to fucking laugh at me for how much I suck at a child parkour game. fucking kill yourself. I had to stop because I sucked so hard, and I returned later. Spoilers, I failed even more. But I gave it a good few tries first before I left. Of course, I tried donating to see what the coveted poop gun was. It was around here that I gave up on the parkour. You can see me contemplating my life choices for a few seconds. I then went on to explore a bit and ended up admiring some of the art. Coming up to a stripper room, followed by a room flooding with Shrek's cum. I wasted no time in jumping into the toxic ooze and clicked a cheese button at the top, which did fuck all. At least that's what I saw. It didn't do anything. This room was kind of boring. It's more of a rest spot, or maybe it was designed as a hub of sorts for people to go and talk or to go AFK. We will likely never know. The next corridor is when things get really dark. Upon turning the corner, I found the coveted jail cells from the game picture, followed by some big dungeon doors. Before that, I went the other way to find some sort of anal impaling device, which of course I walked straight into and had to go all the way back to the start. The next room to it had a little electric chamber that would kill people. This is a Roblox game, by the way. Through the big doors was a massive room with a throne and a jester doing some sort of Fortnite dance. I decided to rest for a bit before doing one last sweep of the place. After deciding that I'd seen everything, I attempted the parkour a few more times. Do not fucking laugh at my inability to jump in a child's game. I finally did it in the end and was greeted with a roller coaster of sorts that took me through many different attractions into a maze that was not hard at all. I got it first try actually. What you're watching here is my first try. It was piss. The maze led into a literal murder light that actually scared me so much I jumped out of my chair in real life and immediately left the game. Fun fact, I actually attempted to interview everyone whose map I visited. The guy who made Cheese Palace, as of writing and recording this video, hasn't responded to my request. I am very sad about that. I wanted to know why cheese? Of all things to make a palace out of, why cheese? We may never know. It's one of those mysteries that will remain on Roblox forever, till the end of time.
Hello, how are you? I am under the water. Please help me. Here too much raining.
Hello, this is present Charlie, or future Charlie to you. I'm editing the videos as we speak. I'm about to get into the next segment, and I thought you'd all like to know that I've just ordered and brought myself Resident Evil 4 Remake for the solid price of £30. That's a pretty damn good deal.
I'll make that deal. How about you bitch? You make that deal?
I'd make that deal.
I don't blame you. Damn good deal.
The next keyword that I went for is water. Don't ask about my selections. I have a form of autism, maybe? Water, and I'll be honest, from the get-go, there's not a lot here as you'd expect. It's water. How much can you make out of water? I visited maybe 2 places because there was just a huge lack of water-related stuff. And rather than pick another topic, I thought, you might as well keep it, original. It's water. Let's try it. Experience number 1 was a game called Drive Thomas into Water. First thing I did was immediately explode a bomb and attempt to destroy a house. Here you can see my simplistic monkey brain at work before even realising there was a Thomas the Tank Engine. I also managed to kill myself a couple of times and murder Thomas as well, before having to reload the server because Thomas would not respawn. Smooth brain only hours here, people. After Thomas was respawned from the depths of train hell, I took him for the ride of his life at what was closely approaching nearly Mach 10 speeds. Only to be met with a cliff that I slowed down at the end and slowly descended into a lake, which seemed like an entire another dimensional plane. Thomas, ever the tank engine, kept trying to drive underwater, but slowly and finally he accepted his fate, with me following soon after. That's all there was for Drive Thomas off the cliff. You drove Thomas off a cliff into the void. That's it. Next game was Water Park. This time, are you ready for this? With air conditioner. Why does air conditioner matter in a Roblox game? Why does air conditioner matter in a water park? Full stop. Who knows? The general area you could walk around was okay, it was designed well, and I can imagine it being fun for kids to mess about with while they talk to their friends. The only part that annoyed me is that none of the actual water slides worked, or at least they didn't work very well. Neither me or my sister, who was staring at me watching playing the game, because, you know, she's a child attracted to Roblox. None of us could get them to work, so that kind of ruined the fun of the experience for me. That's all there is. It's a water park with air conditioning, which you couldn't even turn on the air conditioning. It's unnecessary. The final experience I tried was a Roblox Netbot thing. I'm not true. I'm not part of the Nextbot community. I don't know the Nextbot lore. Yeah, it was shit. This game was shit. There were too many sprites that I literally could not move at all to explore the world structures. I really did not give this server much time. Water in general was very, very short and underwhelming, and failed to make a splash in my opinion.
Commander, you've rained on my glorious parade. For this, I'm sending everything I've got at you. But I won't let you have the satisfaction of catching me. I'm escaping to the one place that hasn't been corrupted by capitalism. Space!
Space is next up on the list, and going into this, I originally thought there'd be much cooler ideas for space, you know, as most people probably would, but to be honest, there were none. At least none that could be considered a dead or abandoned server. However, I did pick one, and it was just really weird, and has potential, but weird. The first thing you see when spawning in is 3 massive baby Yoda cribs that they're literally just stolen assets from the Mandalorian. Another thing that's actually kind of cool is the suit you spawn in. It's more of a military attire than actual, you know, space suit, but it's really cool actually. I'm a big fan of this getup. It's cool. I don't know why you'd need night vision in space. I mean, I guess because everything's black, but would night vision work? I mean, what are you trying to find? I mean, yeah. Who cares? We got it. Just in case. Just in case. One thing that continuously pissed me off was how high the jump was. I get space has gravity and whatnot, but the jump was just too fucking big, and it got really annoying really fast. I found out through a lot of trials and hardships that the Yoda orb was actually a ship of sorts. So I wanted to check out the space station near the Earth, not the giant, massive, you know, space station in the middle because it really didn't look like there was going to be jack shit on there. Not to be racist or anything against other planets, but Earth is just a better coloured planet. That's why I went for it first. To my surprise, you could go inside the station, which gave me hope that there might be explorable planets. There wasn't much inside the space station like you might have thought, so I left and headed off to Earth, which I sort of just clipped through when I got to it. I mean, obviously I'm not expecting some sort of, new level entry animation or anything like that, but it was still very underwhelming. Much like the empty green base plate that made up the Earth's floor. Not to mention the visible planets that protruding from the sky of Earth. After seeing Earth like this, I decided to leave because there's a pretty solid good chance that all the other planets would probably follow a similar pattern. It was also here that I decided the concept of space games is very limited in what it can include. So after coming to this conclusion, I quit and just moved to the next topic. Zombies. A staple of nearly every single game now in some sort of form, whether it be zombies, aliens, or some other boogaloo creature. There's always some form of something coming towards you to try and kill you that you have to shoot or slash your way through. How could I not look for dead zombie servers? Pun absolutely intended. And of course, there were a lot of zombie games as you'd expect, so finding one that was dead is a very, very hard task. I eventually settled on Zombie Apocalypse. That's how it's spelt, Apocalypse, which I actually let my sister play. As right now, I was downstairs making an egg and lettuce sandwich. First, I got 2 slices of brown wholemeal bread, preferably Hovis. I spread about 2 teaspoons worth of butter on each side. Next, you want to get a bowl with 2 boiled eggs in it, white eggs preferably, and kind of crush them up. You can use your hand, or you can use a fork or a masher or whatever, it doesn't really matter as long as it's a little bit crumbly. Note, you can add mayo and salt, but I'm currently on a diet, so I only used salt for a little bit of added flavour. And maybe a little bit of cress as well. When you're happy with the consistency, create a small bed of lettuce on a slice of bread, not both, just one. Then add the egg mixture until you're happy with the amount that's on there. Then add second slice on top and cut either in the middle or from the corner to corner for more sandwich. Don't ask me why, but cutting from edge to edge makes more sandwich. I like to add a sprinkle of salt over the sandwich and I'm done, but that's just me. Finally, pair the delicious sandwich with a packet of crisps. Personally, I like barbecue hoops or quavers, but any crisp will do, it doesn't matter. Make sure to drink something too to help with digesting it. As you can see, there are zombies swimming and cars in a medieval themed castle, which tells you pretty much everything you need to know about this map, and neither me nor you really missed a lot. The next map I played was Survive Siren Head End Zombie. I think that's what it's called, Survive Siren Head End Zombie. Immediately my ears were raped by the sound of Call of Duty zombie screams. This was clearly another game with stolen assets. I also spawned into the ground and then on top of a watchtower with an RPG. I immediately ran into Siren Head and blew him to fucking pieces before getting mauled by a group of fast zombies. One thing to note about this map is that the zombies are very fast, like faster than you are most of the time. I tried a couple of weapons, but none really worked as well as the RPG, which you kind of expect, it's an explosive. I found Jeep-like cars and genuinely didn't expect them to work, but to my surprise they actually did. And I had a lot of fun driving them around, actually. Out of everything in this map, the most fun part was driving around and running over zombies. I basically spent the next 2 minutes fucking about and killing Siren Head a few more times, so enjoy my gameplay of me pissing about in Roblox, because I have absolutely nothing better to do with my life.
Remember, no rush.
Next up, we have shooting, which, who doesn't like a good shooting game? There are a literal shit ton of shooting games on Roblox, and some of them are really, really good, but we're not interested in the good ones today, we're interested in the shit ones. It was very tough finding one that caught my eye, because there are a lot of empty games here, until I saw the coveted, the legendary Shooting, which took so long to load, I eventually just quit because it was taking forever. So unfortunately, I can't show Shooting. The next shooting game I found, which boasted a big update, and to be honest, this was one of the better games on the list. Immediately, when I spawned, I was given an RPG and berated with a zombie. Even the scenery reminded me of the zombie Siren Head game. I accidentally removed all of my accessories that turned me into Walter White. I came across some cars and wore a turret on my head before I found out that there was destructible environments, which really impressed me actually for a Roblox game of this caliber. I messed around with some sort of spawn wall which didn't really produce much, and then I proceeded to take the enemy flag. This was a capture the flag type game, by the way. Easy boys, let's go. GG, no re. I also started shooting at random shit to try and blow it up, which gave me an idea. Maybe, just maybe, I can drive the cars. And you know what? I could. To my surprise, I could drive the fucking vehicles directly into water. But I could drive. That's the main part. The main part is I can drive, even though I can't. I don't know if most of the stuff in this map. I don't know if most of this stuff in this map was asset flips or legit created. I'm gonna go with asset flips because a few of the cars looked like Resurgence from GTA, and I'm just gonna go with that. It's also worth mentioning that this game has a very fast day-night cycle, and I mean very fast, which was sometimes very annoying, but I mean it's a cool addition. After capturing the point, my team won, and I was awarded with my bones breaking, which actually, again, scared me into leaving the game. The next game in the shooting genre is called Shooting Practice. Very self-explanatory. Seems simple and straight to the point. Note to anyone playing: don't pull out a minigun or you will phase through the ground. It's a very simple rule. I think they teach this in the Air Force or something like that. Very simple rule. Don't pull out a minigun or you will fall and phase through the ground. Simple. To be honest, in this game, only a couple guns worked, which was very disappointing for a game called Shooting Practice. The guns that did work were the AK, the knives, which aren't even guns, the M4, which I'm not even sure is an M4, I think that's a completely different gun model, and a handgun. The city itself was kind of boring and empty, aside from, you know, the normal buff Peppa Pig on top of a building, which I immediately shot at and tried to kill. I even used a tank at one point, which immediately glitched out and got stuck on the ground. But the rest of the map was really a lot of nothing. There was no destructible environments, no NPCs, nothing to do. It was all around kind of boring. Next was another short game called If You're Sad and Feel Like Shooting, which immediately raped my eardrums with what sounded like a jet engine having a seizure. It was what looked like the gun from Halo 3 ODST, I think, and a huge staircase, which, yes, I went and climbed the whole thing for about 7 minutes, only to find nothing at the top but complete emptiness, and for a brief moment, I had an existential crisis. Do I want to do this video anymore? Has my life really become just jumping up blocks in Roblox? Where in this great entropy of a universe do I fit into it all, and what is my purpose, my great need to be alive? What makes me, me? And then I immediately killed myself. Overall, 10 out of 10 game. Great, you should try it, you should play that game. Rate it as much as you can, like it, upvote it, make sure everybody that you know, your dad, your mum, your nan, your dog, make sure everybody plays this game. It is amazing, 10 out of 10. The second to last genre is FNAF. There was a lot of FNAF stuff. FNAF became very popular mascot horror in the same sense that Poppy's Playtime and Granny did within the Roblox community, which is why you can see so much of it on here for a game aimed at kids. However, it was really, really hard to find an abandoned server because FNAF is just so popular on here. So I couldn't actually find one with 0 players, so I went for the one with the least amount of current players online. I'll just say from the start, this was the best designed game, asset-wise, that I've seen throughout all the games I've played here, and a lot of the games I've played outside of this video in my Roblox time. FNAF the Resurgence is really the definition of finding a diamond in the rough, and this is a pretty big fucking diamond. There's a huge amount of heart and soul put into this game. You're probably thinking, hey, but this is Roblox, a game made for children, how good can it be? And yes, you're correct, Roblox is made for children. And FNAF the Resurgence, in all honesty, doesn't break any boundaries of gaming norm, but it does a hell of a lot better job of creating a fun and well put together Roblox game than 90% of what's actually on the site. I will admit, my first time logging in, I didn't really expect much. It's worth mentioning that when I say the game is good, I'm mostly referring to the animatronics themselves. Every animation, character, soundbite and song has been lovingly crafted from scratch by the development team. Remember earlier when I said I tried to get some interviews with the game devs of the different Roblox games? Well, this game was so good I tried my absolute best, more than the others, to get an interview. And I actually got to talk to the owner and founder of FNAF the Resurgence, who had this to say about the animatronics. The first question I asked was, what is your position and what name do you go by?
Hi, I'm Kieran, and I'm the owner and founder of the game. I did most of the scripting in the game with help from Dudbear, did a lot of the prop models for the game with help from everyone else, and did most of the UI designs, some of the animation with help from Optimus45, and all of the music stuff, anything that has a guitar or anything, that's me.
How long have you been working on the game?
I've been working on the game since 2020. There have been a lot of iterations throughout the years, but I think we're finally happy with how the designs and stuff are, so we're going to keep going with this one.
Are all the animatronics and their movements or animations created from scratch by your team? If so, how long did it take to get that right?
Yeah, we had artists on the team who made the designs, and then Dudbear, our modeler, made the original 6 in about a week. The animations were made by me and Optimus45.
Which animatronics and aspect of the map are you proudest of most?
I'm really proud of the Grandpa Fredbear and Uncle Spring Bonnie designs that FNAF Radio made, and Dudbear did an amazing job translating them into reality. I think I'm also really proud of the stage, but that's mostly because that was just such a great day where the whole team got along without any struggle, which was not a common occurrence with us.
When I first got into the game, I was greeted with a custom-made animated home screen. First place you spawn in is a museum or a showcase area of all the animatronics and props. I walked into the spring trap button, pressure plate on the floor, turner, transformer thing, which turned me into him, complete with working spring lock animations. Screaming and actual blood were included and done amazingly. While the camera was a little bit buggy in the Afton mode, it's not to downplay how cool implementing a mechanic like this is. I respawned right into Foxy's ass and he followed me as I explored a lot of empty space, which I can assume is empty for later updates, animatronics and whatnot. Before I entered the main area, there was a stall ran by cats, some woman waffling on about some fucking shit or something. I didn't even read the sign. And there was a shop of sorts. There's quite a few shops around the pizzeria place, but this shop exchanged items for tickets, and there's actually a cat that you can click and it meows. It's a meme cat. I don't know what meme cat. I'm pretty sure it's a flopper. But it's a pretty good shop. I got stuck on these menus, as you can see a lot, but to be honest, that's not the game's fault. This is entirely my fault for being in first person. I think this was designed with third person in mind. The rain cycle actually caught me off guard too when I went outside. Oh, and here, seeing the Nissan Fazbear actually made me cry laugh when I first saw it. It was hilarious. A fucking Freddy Fazbear wrapped car complete with ears. It was amazing. The Jackie's calf was a bit more ominous, with just one guy standing in the corner of a dark, empty room staring at me. At last, I entered the main attraction, Freddy Fazbear's. It seems you could make pizza here in the kitchen, but I honestly couldn't figure it out, so I immediately quit like most people would. That was my game that you just saw there, crashing when Chica finished her song, and honestly, this was the third moment in this game that unintentionally terrified the shit out of me. My second run through the map, I paid much more attention to detail, and thankfully it didn't crash. However, I lost a lot of my footage. It became corrupted here. So I will try to explain what's missing from the video, while you enjoy the spinning cat. Again, the back of the pizzeria has everything it should. It has the party rooms, it has a security guard room with working lights and doors, which are actually really cool. It has everything you could imagine. There's also a place with a voice-acted attendant where you can spin wheels to get tickets and trade them in for plushies and such. But that's really all there is. That's all there was in the footage. It's a lot of me walking around the pizzeria. If you're familiar with FNAF, you know what the pizzeria looks like with the white and black checkered pattern, all of that. It's just a lot of empty space, but it's also necessary to be there to add atmosphere to the place. The real art and the meat of this game comes in the form of the animatronics, who sing entirely, and I mean entirely, original covers of popular rock songs, as well as the casual conversations they have between themselves, which actually makes them seem a lot more human and less threatening, but in a good way. It was already established in the interview that this is its own separate canon, so, there's not necessarily much to say that they're all evil. They're friends, canonically, so it would make sense for them to have conversations between themselves, especially if they were sentient, and the thought of Freddy and Bonnie liking a Linkin Park album, that's hilarious.
Why I need you to hear, I found a reason for me to change who I used to be, a reason to start over new, and the reason is you.
You guys know what band I've always been a real big fan of?
No, what band might that be, Freddy?
Linkin Park. I mean, they came out with Hybrid Theory in the year 2000. Honestly, that's just one of the best albums ever created, in my opinion at least.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, like, they reminded me of the 80s, but at the same time, put a bit of modern spin on it, you know?
Yeah, exactly, that's what I'm talking about.
Well, what do you say we play one of their songs?
You know what? That sounds like a swell idea, Bonnie. This is What I Done by Linkin Park.
To finish off the Five Nights at Freddy's Resurgence game, I want to let you listen to the rest of the interview I had with the developer and founder of the game, Kieran, in its entirety, so please enjoy the next 4 minutes or so of us talking about the game. I highly encourage, from the bottom of my heart, everyone to take a look at this game. Even if it's just for 5 minutes, please show some support. Without the right attention, game developers like this, who actually put soul and effort into their games, will die out. And that's exactly what we need right now. Developers who care. Will you implement any other canon story events, such as the Bite of 87, or is it purely an RP type game?
There will likely be a story mode where things like that happen in flashbacks, and I'm sure they'll appear in the RP mode through new super clippings, but this is actually its own separate canon universe, and that's why the designs are so drastically different than the main game ones. It doesn't take place in the same universe. We wanted to put as much passion as we could behind it, and when I was still in the planning phase, mostly just by myself, I figured it might be difficult to have a whole dev team put passion into the game without it being our own thing, so decided to make it our own universe.
What aspect of FNAF inspired you while you created and worked on the game?
To be perfectly honest with you, not that much. I mean, I can confidently say that FNAF has been a huge part of everyone's childhoods on the dev team, but I feel like we took more inspiration from places like Showbiz or Chuck E. Cheese and just random ideas we thought would be neat, above anything actually from the game, like besides the characters' names and the pretty basic textures overall.
Why the name FNAF The Resurgence?
It was a name that I just kind of came up with several years ago when I was first starting out with developing, and there was a really crudely made game on my old account that never really took off. It was the first game I ever advertised, and it was the first game that I ever had on my own profile that people I didn't know actually tried out, but I guess it just kind of stuck with me throughout the years, and I was good enough that nobody on the dev team really argued with the name. It just kind of worked.
Are there any upcoming updates?
Yeah, the next update is going to bring in the shadow animatronics and probably some new songs as well, because music has become my passion over game development, but I don't intend to let the game die or anything, don't worry, it is my child.
Is there a reason you chose Roblox specifically to create the FNAF game?
Well, I didn't really have a choice, to be honest. Roblox is the only place I've ever made games on, and it's also where my past success has occurred. I used to work for this guy called Fred Gone Fazzy, and when the beginning of Fazbarent, the game we worked on, became quite successful, I decided that when I finally left the team that I'd try my own hand at making my own game. Just kind of worked out, I suppose.
Did you have problems with development? I mean, obviously. If so, which ones were the worst?
Oh, plenty, but most of that was mental health related and more just us needing breaks from it, you know. The game mostly went from not successful at all to having like 20 to 40 people in it at a time overnight from like a Gallant Gaming video, so it was a bit much for us going from having no suggestions for ideas and nothing to add to having tons of suggestions that we could not digest all at once, and we just kind of needed a lot of breaks, yeah.
Why choose to do a cover of Don't Fear the Reaper as the start menu?
Well, I've always loved the song, and I also just thought it was the best of the songs I had done for the game. And also because I thought it was the most different from the original, which is kind of what we were going for with the whole game's universe in and of itself. So I thought, hey, symbolism, even though it's not really.
Who did the cover of Don't Fear the Reaper? Because it's low-key amazing.
Oh, thank you. That would be me. I tried to put my heart into the music for the game, so I'm really glad you liked it.
What made you want to do a FNAF game of all things?
Well, it was what I grew up with, and it was kind of the only sort of games that I had made before starting on it, so, and also the only developers I knew were FNAF game developers, so if I was gonna get anyone for the dev team, which I needed people for the dev team, it kinda had to be a FNAF game.
If you could personally add anything, character, event, building, etc., what would it be and why?
Honestly, I'd really want to add a guitar shop to the game, and I do fully intend to. Because, like, in the prize corner, there are guitars that you can buy, and you can play riffs on them, just kind of picked at random, but they're modeled off of specifically guitars that I own, and I'd love to see people in the game with their own guitars, so really want to add a guitar shop.
Do you plan to expand more outside of the pizzeria, such as the Afton House or sister location facility?
Well, in our universe, sister location actually isn't canon, and Afton dies in 1988, but we will probably add the Emily House instead. I think that would be cool.
Who created most of the sound design and instruments?
That would be me. I was the one behind all the sound design and instrumentation. I've always been a music nerd and a musician as well, so I just really wanted to try my hand at some covers in a different style of sorts.
I love the conversations the animatronics have between each other. Did the idea to add that come naturally, or was it planned long in advance?
Well, I was watching some old showbiz tapes, and I loved the energy that the characters had between them, always have, but I was trying to figure out why they had such good energy, and I realized it was almost exclusively the dialogue that painted them as genuine characters and not just fancy speakers. So I wanted to put some dialogue in there, and What I've Done by Linkin Park was the one I was working on, so I said, screw it, let's try it, and just kind of improvised some dialogue between Freddie and Bonnie.
Do you plan to add more arcade games and features to keep the game interesting and fresh?
Oh, absolutely, but only if Dudbear's up for it.
If you're adding more music covers, can you give me a few hints on what to expect? Also, if you could add any song or band, what would it be?
In the Discord server, we have some old planned lists of albums, if you can even really call them that, but I don't think we'll be using most of those. We'll probably be adding some more 90s songs, and I think the next song I'm going to do is going to be Hunger Strike by Temple of the Dog. And after that, I guess just kind of depends on what songs I learn. Also, Sweet Child of Mine and November Rain will 100% be happening at some point, but I'm not. It depends on when I can learn the November Rain solo.
They say save the best for last. Well, I just covered the best, so what's last, you may ask?
Obama Prism, Obamium, Obama Cube, Obama Sphere, Obama Spawner, Obama Blender.
That's right, you read that correctly. The final topic is none other than Barack Obama himself. The one game I settled on was Obama the Anime Girl. It took almost no time at all for me to pick this one out of all the rest. If I had to sum this up in one sentence, it's a shit show of dead memes mixed with a cult-like obsession with Obama. When loading in, the first thing you notice, or first things I should say, are the giant Obama in the sky, the Obama reaching out to you, and a giant dancing Teletubby who I believe is Poe. Climbing the ladder, if you can call it a ladder, it's more like just support. I stared right at a very well represented custom made face. Then I turned around to Sans, Sans Undertale. I then turned into Sans and immediately jumped on top of some sort of anime schoolgirl who's probably very popular, but I've never seen him before. Before finding a whole field dedicated to this character, whoever she is, I don't know. There was also another huge Sans above a separate island in the water, so I immediately headed that way to investigate. I jumped on a bunch of anime characters on balls to a pit of dead corpses next to a maid cafe. I was unironically impressed that this game had a multiple dialogue option, even if it went nowhere and was only limited in what I could say, and also my head had fucking disappeared for some reason. The cafe itself was littered with anime women and maids as you'd expect. I went back over to the hole of corpses and jumped in it before running back to the main island, or swimming rather. I inspected the faces and walked across a long JPEG of another anime character. There were more horribly made faces in the trees, and there wasn't much else on the island. Except two bold maids in the middle of nowhere. Finally, the time had come to explore inside the giant Teletubby. As I got to the demonic Poe, I clipped into him, and everything disappeared except the four glorious faces of God himself, Barack Obama. I then left out of astoundment. So, that's it for the first episode of Exploring Dead Servers. I hope you enjoyed watching. I want to give a final thank you and shout out to the development team of FNAF The Resurgence, and I implore you all to go and check it out. Be sure to comment what topics you want to see next, and I will see you in another 3 weeks, or 4 weeks, or a month, or whenever, for my next video. Bye.